This is The Meaningful Way. I'm your host, Luke Iorio. You know, one of the things that we talk about a lot on this show, and I hope you've picked this up, is the fact that each day, if you focus on changing the moments within your day, that's how you change the direction of your day. And if you change enough of those days, you have the ability to change your life. Well, part of the way that we do that is through the choices that we make. It's through exploring possibility and the what-if scenarios that are all around us at any given time. And it's about how do we go further? How is it we go further, even just a mile at a time? Well, today we're going to dive in on all of these great leverage points for change. And we're going to do it with Shawn Anderson. Shawn's an entrepreneur since the age of 8 when he started a business selling worms to fishermen. He's continued organizing events that make a difference in how people think. He's a #1 ranked motivational author, an unlimited thinker, a lifetime entrepreneur with a history of inspiring others. He's a 6-time author and is also the creator of Extra Mile Day, a day celebrated in over 560 cities to recognize the power that we each have to create positive change when we go that extra mile. Besides having inspired thousands through his speaking and writing, Shawn's built a $1 million company, pedaled a bike solo across the U.S. twice, and created adventures in 40-plus countries, including having walked 550 miles across Spain, 450 miles across Portugal, 750 miles around the island of Shikoku, Japan. In 2007, Shawn will finish his 7th book after walking across England and Ireland. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, taking his Go the Extra Mile message on the speaking tour on Central America and continue to build on the success and reach of Extra Mile Day itself, which is on November 1st each year. And so with that in mind, Shawn, I want to thank you for coming on The Meaningful Way.
Luke, it's my privilege to be here. Thank you for being a kindred spirit and in all things that are positive and in helping people, empowering people, encouraging people to live the very best version of themselves. I appreciate you.
I appreciate that, Shawn. You know, and the way even, you know, just some of the work that you've done around this, the extra mile, the amount that you've put into it, the adventures you've created. One of the things we talk about a lot on this show is the life journey that we've been on, which seemed quite apropos for you. And so I was wondering if you could share a little bit of the background of the passion that you have for what you do now and the purpose behind the message of what you do now. Where did that come from in your life? What was the before picture and what did that transition look like?
I've always understood this concept of living with intention. Living with intention, having a vision, having a dream of what you want your life to be, what you want to achieve, what you want to do, and then taking the meaningful action steps to make that happen. I suppose my first real exposure to that was, as you had mentioned, my first entrepreneurial business was selling worms to fishermen. You see, what I really wanted, what my vision, what my intention was I wanted baseball cards. And I understood that the more worms that I could sell, the more packs of bubblegum wrapped baseball cards I could go buy at 7-Eleven. Mm-hmm. And starting to understand that you have the power to create what you can see. That was very meaningful, very powerful to me. And I've been able to keep that vision and expand on it and grow on that and continue to evolve all the way now to age 54. Mm-hmm. I no longer collect baseball cards, but I still use the power of that first message.
Absolutely. And I think the really just important part of the pieces that you're putting together there is it's both the intention and the vision, but then the meaningful action. And it's combining so many of those things and putting it all in forward motion, because certainly seeing it doesn't mean doing it.
No, it's right. I mean, so many people, most everybody, if we ask them, what would you like to do? Yeah. People can give us a dream or they can give us something that they'd like to achieve. But, dreams and visions and goals and ideas, there's billions of them, but the difference between those that dream and those that achieve are all the action steps that it takes from the very beginning to the very end.
Absolutely. So you're a writer, you're a speaker, you're a coach, an advisor. You've got the foundation work that you do now with Extra Mile. I guess the part of what I'm curious about is what would you say is at the heart of all of the different work that you do? What's that true meaning and purpose behind it all for you?
I empower people. That's my job. It's very simple. And every single thing I do, that is my mission statement.
Mm-hmm.
I empower people. That's my job. It's really easy when you have a mission statement in life, because when opportunities or prospects come your direction, you can always go back to your vision and say, how does this fit? Does it or does it not? It keeps me very focused. And if it's not about empowering people, then I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Well, what do you think it is that drew you in to serve people in that manner?
Because I understand what it is when people don't clap for you, when they don't cheer for you, when they don't say that you can do it. And, we live in a world of whispers. The whispers of people that say, Luke, you're not good enough. Luke, you're not handsome enough. Luke, you're not fast enough. Luke, you don't have enough money. Luke, you don't have enough education. Luke, you need to go ahead and get a secure job. You can't take risks. Luke. Mm-hmm. But it's all those whispers that's pretty soon that we start to believe that is who we are, that we are who society and people around us who they're telling us we are. But I wanted to be that one voice that said, you know what, Luke, you are so unbelievably amazing. You've got talent, you've got resourcefulness, and you're creative and you're brilliant, and you've got this passion and this heart and this mind that can create. Man, I believe in you. And if you look at who you really are, man, you should start believing in you, because whatever you want to create, you've got the power to create it. I wanted to become a battery charger of the human spirit. And so that is, where I've really intended in directing my life.
I like it. I love it. I love the concept. And I love the fact that you framed it in the context of whispers, because it really, that's such an amazing thing of how it is that there's all of these expectations that are around us, that somewhere we start to buy in, and all of a sudden the whispers around us become the whispers within us. And we begin to take on that story and take on that voice. How is it that we get beyond the whispers?
Well, I believe that each of us have an innate whisper inside us. It's the whisper that I call our potential. It's that magical genie that lives in us. But what happens is that so many people start whispering at us that it just drowns out that whisper that's really in us. That the whisper that says, man, I really love dancing. I really love art. I really love animals. I really love writing. I really love to travel. All those things that really make us who we are. I believe that if one wants to find their true purpose in life, you've got to go back to finding your own whisper. It's not the whisper that the college kid might hear that says, son, you need to be a lawyer. Lawyers do really, really well, and you need to do that. That says to the daughter, you should go to med school because that's what you're going to be great at. Because if that's not your true whisper, will you ever find happiness? Sure, you might do really cool things, but will you really find that happiness that at the end of your life, when you evaluate everything you've done, will you really have regret, or will you say to yourself, wow, life well lived?
Where do we begin? Meaning if we really want to begin to reconnect to that true whisper and to hear it again, so it's no longer just simply whispering behind all of the other noise that's inside that inner monologue that we have, where do we begin so we can tap into that?
I believe that we become what we surround ourselves with. And the more that you want to find your legitimate, powerful, awesome, motivated self, the more that you need to fill your brain, that computer on your shoulders, with positive, motivational people and words and music and reading and writing. Because I believe that the more positive that we connect with, that whisper will be reborn. Because I believe that all of us, inside of us, when we start chasing the positive or the motivation, the whisper becomes clear. Our truest passion becomes clear. Our courage becomes more intense on being able to walk outside our comfort zone. So what I would say is, start reading just a little bit every day about what inspires your spirit. Hang out with people who inspire you to be more, to do more, to go more. Start doing that and watch your intention of wanting to live your life grow in a great way once again.
To consciously create the environment within which we live is certainly one of those really powerful choices. What came to mind as you're describing that is the old Jim Rohn statement that we become the sum of the 5 people that we spend the most time with, and they do. I mean that whether it's the books we're reading, the information that we're digesting, and how we're digesting it, it has a major impact on how we evolve ourselves. And I know that a big piece of what you chat about are the choices that we make, choosing those friends, choosing that material. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about, what those choices are. How do we make those choices? Because the really cool thing about the way I've heard you put this before is you not only talk about the big choices, but you talk about even just the moment by moment, daily type of choices that add up really significantly over time.
Luke, I believe the greatest gift that we have all been given is the power of choice. Every single one of us, the moment we wake up, we have the power to choose directions in our life. This morning when you woke up, you chose what time to get up. You chose whether or not you're going to have a cup of coffee or not. You chose what brand of toothpaste you were going to use. You chose what you were going to wear today. And all those choices don't seem significant. I just want people to be aware that we choose everything that happens to us in our day. You chose whether or not you were going to show up and do this interview. You chose all these, who you were going to have a conversation with. You chose the words that came out of your mouth and what you were going to say. Later, let's say you want to go to lunch. You choose what you're going to say to the person who's waiting upon you and what kind of seed you're going to plant in that person's head. You choose tonight when you go to the store to bring groceries home to your family if you're going to smile at that cashier and make their day just a little bit better, if you're going to stand there and just let her ring up the groceries and both of you being miserable in your own thoughts. We have these choices. You chose today what you were going to do for your occupation. People might say, well, I'm limited because of the bills that I have and how far I can really go. It's a choice. It's a choice that you choose to go buy Starbucks every single day and spend that extra $7. 7 times 5, $35 a week. 35 times 4 is, almost $150 a month. Times 12, it's over, $1,200 a year that you're choosing to spend because you want to buy Starbucks. You choose everything that you have. You choose whether or not you want to put yourself in financial debt because you're going to take that $600 lease on the car that you might not be able to afford. You choose whether or not you're going to go out tonight and spend $80 on a meal that you maybe can't afford, that maybe could be better directed towards the acting lessons you want to take because that's really what you want to do. Our life is choices, and the choices that we make today in this instant, in the now, are going to reflect all the moments that are going to happen in our future. The little choices start to add up. Every single choice you make is going to determine who Luke is tomorrow.
And Shawn, I think the only thing that's missing is if you only had a little passion for what you do. I absolutely love it, man. You got so much energy around this. And with that perspective, it's one of the things I was hoping to hear, because what you're showing everybody and reminding everybody of is that we have thousands of these choices every day. It's not like we need to worry about, when's the big opportunity, the big, window is going to open for me. It's that every single day we face these choices. And if we miss the opportunity in the morning to make the choice that would have empowered us, don't worry, wait 3 minutes and the next choice is going to be there. And I really appreciate anchoring it back on that every day. And I guess, how is it that you help individuals and through some of your work, your coaching, whatever, in figuring out where do they want to begin, right? How do we really begin to rewire some of these choices? Because so many of the things that we do are really unconscious at this point. How do we rewire? How do we know what to focus on? And how do we reprogram the choices we really want to be making?
Well, why don't we focus first on what kind of life you really want to live? What kind of health do you really want to have? What kind of relationship would you really love to be involved in? What kind of attitude and spirit would you really love to have when you wake up on Monday morning and you get in your car to drive to work and clock in? We start first off with, what does your perfect life look like? What is the better version of you that you would love to be able to see? If your shadow was living the stellar existence and you wanted to go live the life of your shadow, let's talk about that. Because then once we melt down who it is that you want to do and be and become, who the real innate you is, we can start to create steps, baby steps, actionable steps that get us to where we want to be. I believe that success in life, that results in life, that whatever it is that you want in life is almost a science. And when we do A and B and C and D, and we continue to do it well enough and good enough and continue to learn from it, then we will get to the letter E. And so that's what we try to do. We understand that we can't create awesomeness overnight. But if we continue to create excellent every single day, awesomeness will come.
I appreciate that, because it really is helping everybody to, form that vision around what is the the 2.0 or the 3.0, whatever version of yourself you're on, of what is the vision for the upgraded version, as it were, and then reframing it back into what are the baby steps, what are the mini actions, the mini steps that we can be taking that are in alignment with that, and start to nudge ourselves in that direction. I want to jump to talking a little bit about this vision, because I know that you also talk about the power of language and the power of what it is that words hold for us. And two of those words that you tap into are among my absolute favorite. And that's the power of the words, what if? How can we use that what if? What does what if look like for us, especially in how it expands our vision?
Luke, what if you brought your wife flowers tonight for no reason? What would happen? Luke, what were to happen if you were to make an extra, 2 prospecting calls for business every single day? That's all I'm asking you to do, is 2 more than normal. What if you decided to have a date night each week with one of your children where you just focused on edifying, building it, and creating a significant relationship between you that have that young child start to believe, I can? What if you decided today just to do 3 more push-ups every day than you did yesterday? What if you decided to take that dream job in your mind and do just a little bit of research and find out what company that was? And what if you sent a letter that said, you know what, man, my passion is doing what you're doing. Show me what I can do for you to add value to your company, because, man, I want to be a part of it. What if? What if is the greatest question that one could ever ask if they truly wanted to find the greatest, most awesome, most romantic, adventurous, passionate, purposeful existence that they could ever live.
I hope everybody listening, I hope you guys are tuning in to the what if scenarios that Shawn was just presenting. They're simple. We're not even talking about, you can get into the big what ifs, but you can also look at the very simple everyday what ifs and the way in which they impact the quality of your life, the quality of your relationships, the quality of your work. And that's very approachable. It's very accessible for absolutely all of us. And, Shawn, I guess I'm curious as to tie this together with what you've created and what, I would certainly describe, I know it's a foundation, it's a day, but I would describe it as the movement that is become the extra mile that you talk so much about. And so tell us a little bit about what is not just the purpose of the extra mile, but I'm also curious in what was the genesis of that for you?
In 2009 in America and across the world, there were a lot of really negative things that were happening. People were losing their jobs. Foreclosures were at an all-time high. Businesses were closing all around us. Even banks were starting to close. And I felt that America had reached a really desperate point, that individuals had reached a desperate point. And we started looking all around us. We started looking at the government and saying, what are you going to do to create a program to help me succeed? They started looking at their bosses even more. What are you going to do to help me keep my job and even make more money in the future? They would look at their spouse and say, what are you going to do to make our relationship better? People started forgetting that the general premise that if we want to create the life that we love and if we want to create this amazing adventure and have what we want, is you don't point fingers and you don't look to the government and to your boss and to your best friend and to your neighbor and to your spouse and to your kids. Man, you take one big solid stand in front of the mirror and you say, you're the one that's going to make this happen. But, you just can't continue to do the status quo, Luke. You can't keep doing what you're doing if you want to change the results that you're getting, because unless you create the change in your action, your results are never going to change. So status quo wasn't it. So I decided to use my really small voice and to remind people that if you want to create ultimate change, you don't keep doing the status quo. You don't keep looking at other people, but you've got to go the extra mile. You've got to do more. You've got to be more. You've got to give more. 2009, I got on my bicycle. I was a non-bicyclist that time, and I was in a Forrest Gump sort of way. I pedaled from one ocean to the other ocean. But the real power of the tour was in the motivational events that my staff and I created in 21 cities, where we had the privilege of being able to talk to over 200 people who had been pre-identified as having gone the extra mile in life, not only having gone the extra mile to create amazing value for their community, but having gone the extra mile and overcoming amazing challenges for themselves. At the end of that tour, I gave away $10,000 of my own money to the stories that were most inspiring to me. But from that very first year, I was pedaling across the state of Nevada, and I was trying to figure out how to get more exposure for the extra mile message. And I came up with this idea about Extra Mile Day. I wanted to bring mayors into this picture and have mayors recognize their local heroes who were going the extra mile in volunteerism and service. In 2009, I was absolutely elated that 23 mayors were kindred spirits and jumped on the train. Extra Mile Day has continued every November 1st since, and I'm proud to say that last year, November 1st, 2016, there weren't 23 cities that joined the Extra Mile Day mission. There were 560. You see, sometimes, Luke, when we take baby steps and we continue just to do things that are of our purpose and of our nature, bigger things can happen than we could have ever imagined. That's how Extra Mile started.
That's fantastic. Share a couple of the stories, because I've seen a few, and some of these you could describe them as everyday heroes, and these local heroes. They're just amazing people who've done some extraordinary things with their lives and with their days. What are a couple of stories that stand out in your mind?
I'll just share two of them really quickly about people who overcame individual challenge and who wanted to change how they started. A woman had to be escorted up to me in the state of Ohio on someone's arm. You see, Sheila Holsworth, she was blind and she had 2 glass eyes. But it wasn't always like that for Sheila. When Sheila was 10 years old, the orthodontic headgear that she was wearing on her face, on her mouth, to be able to straighten her teeth, it snapped. And when it snapped, it gouged out both of her eyes. So up till the age of 10, Sheila could see just as well as you and I and the viewers could see. After that, 2 glass eyes forever. But Sheila Holsworth chose not to live with that sort of limitation that a blind person might have. She chose to continue to be active. And when I met Sheila Holsworth, she had become an international record holder in downhill skiing. She had learned to become a trick water ski jumper, not just hold onto the rope and let the boat pull her, but she would do flips and turns. Sheila Holsworth had ridden a bike tandem across her home state. You see, limitations only hold us back as much as we think they can hold us back. How much more you and I can do because we don't have glass eyes, but we can see very, very clearly.
That's extraordinary.
Oakland, California, a guy came up to me that we had a meeting, and his name was Creighton Wong. And Creighton shook my hand, and we shook my hand. I noticed that a couple fingers on his hand were missing. Creighton showed me his other hand, and he had 3 fingers missing on that hand. Creighton had also walked into the room with a limp, and you see that's because he was wearing a prosthetic leg. Creighton Wong was born what is called a congenital amputee. He was born without the fingers, and he was born with only 1 leg. But Creighton didn't want that to necessarily stop him. And as a little boy, he played soccer and he played Little League and he did those things. And when I met Creighton Wong, the value and inspiration of his story was that Creighton Wong was a triathlete. Creighton Wong would jump into the ocean and he could swim for over a mile, come back on the beach, strap on a prosthetic leg, get on a specially made bike that had special hand gear so that he could brake faster, and he would go ride for 100 miles. And then Creighton would put on, his special running shoes, and Creighton could run for 26 miles. So a man that was born without fingers on hands and a man that was born without his leg became a triathlete. Oftentimes we let the pains in our back or the pains in our knee or whatever stop us from living a healthy, vibrant, active life. Man, if you've got the legs, and if you've got the heart, and if you got the passion to change it, get out there and start doing it, will you?
Those are just incredible stories. Those are absolutely fantastic. Shawn, I guess one of the other things for me is I always love hearing the way in which we take our own work and we apply it to ourselves. And so with that in mind, with where you are in your career and your life, what does that extra mile look like for you personally?
Well, you can't talk about going the extra mile unless you really live the extra mile. Yeah. And, I constantly do my best to earn my own extra mile stripes. And I also believe that you can't really become a great coach unless you know what the people are going through. And unless you know what potentially suffering is, or if you've really been punched in the gut by life and been down on the ground and had to find the strength just to push yourself up to your knees before you could ever get back to your feet. So I create what I call these boot camp these boot camps for myself every single year where I melt my life back down into the very simplest form. And I go and I learn to trust myself, to find my best physicality, to find my best spirituality, to find my best emotional and mental strength. And I go on these journeys to walk across countries with nothing but a 25-pound backpack on my back. And I do this because, I don't take the cell phones or anything. I'm just kind of navigating in a map or whatever. And like, for example, last summer I walked 750 miles around Shikoku, Japan. There are islands in Japan that speak English. Shikoku just didn't happen to be one of them. And I navigated my way around this island, these 750 miles, not knowing where I was going to sleep each night, barely being able to have conversations with anybody, trying my best to understand what Japanese characters were so that I knew if I could turn left or turn right at that place to get me to my destination. And when you start living like that, you start to go, man, this really sucks. I don't like this, whatever. But you start to grow and have this strength that you believe that you can overcome. Come on, just stay focused. Let's see, we can do this. Remember, you don't have to get to mile 750 today. You just got to get those 15 miles up the road. Come on, we can do that. Let's just take one step over another. Let's just get over this pass. You can do this. Come on, we can keep going. Days where it would just rain on me as if I was taking a shower for 10 straight hours outside. You learn to get through that when you're walking through puddles and puddles of water, because that's just like life. Life is going to throw these amazing obstacles in front of you, and whether or not they're going to block you from reaching your dreams and your goals is up to you, man. But I'm here to say that we can walk through the rain, and we can walk through thunderstorms, and we can go up mountains, and we can continue to navigate to where we want to go if we simply believe I can.
It's amazing what, we hear things like this all the time. It's amazing how, powerful the human spirit is. And usually we wait until things are pretty dramatic or even traumatic before we will tap into that strength to rise to meet whatever the odds are that we're going through. And what you're talking about with these adventures, these quests even, is that we're intentionally going on these things. We're not waiting for something to happen. We're making it happen for ourselves. And in doing it, the ability for us to recognize exactly how capable we are, exactly how strong our spirit is, exactly how resilient we can be. It allows you, those journeys allow you to really bring that out and tap into that and remind yourself of that on an ongoing basis. And I guess maybe, the other thing that I know, because we were chatting about this just before we went on air, which is the walk that you've got coming up, even just with UK and going across Ireland as well. And you were talking about what that means to you at this point in your life. And I was hoping you could share a little of that perspective as well with everybody listening.
Yeah, and before I get into that, I just want to make one note about, what I consider my greatest achievements of life, what I consider my greatest adventures of life are every time that I just stepped a mile outside of my comfort zone. I look back at these hardships that I've walked, and it doesn't matter just these treks, but the businesses that I had that failed, or the book that I first wrote that couldn't get published. Man, those are some of my greatest accomplishments and how I was able to overcome. So whatever any of the listeners are really going through right now, I got to tell you, it might really feel like you're in hell sometimes. But I believe in my heart and in my soul, and I know this only because I am my own guinea pig all the time, that if you continue to find the strength and just that perseverance and fortitude within your soul and in your spirit to just keep making it through each of your days, you will look back on this in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, or whatever, and you're going to realize that you were one strong dude. You were one strong dudette. And there's nothing that life can't throw at that you, because you'll be able to remember how you made it through the tragedy, defeat, the failure, the loss that you're currently going through. Whatever you're going through now is going to make you a more amazing person in the future. Luke, back to your question. I'm 54. I'm 54 years of age, and I'll tell you what, my best days, my best successes, my best friendships, my best relationships, my best speeches, they're not behind me. They're all in front of me. And at age 54, I'm not ready to get my walker and start walking, step by step, or I'm not ready to be wheeled in a wheelchair. Man, I believe that if you keep training and you keep working, you can keep doing dynamic adventures forever. My goal is to walk across the country when I'm 75, man. My goal is to do a marathon when I'm 80 years old. You know what? If we do the preparation the preparation that it takes to succeed and get where we want, we can do that. And I really believe that one of my strongest issues that I'm most passionate about is do what you can to maintain your health and to build your health. Wherever you are today, just keep working on making your health a little bit better. If you're older, make sure you're stretching. Make sure you're eating the right foods. Do the things that help give you vitality. Because when we don't have our health, everything else in life goes downhill. Our career, our dream, our relationships, everything goes downhill without your health. Focus on your health to live a great life.
So we've talked about the choices we make, the questions we ask ourselves. We've talked about the fuel, the health, vitality that goes into accomplish these things. We talk about the next step, the baby steps that are in alignment with the big vision or next version of ourselves we want to become. And so I guess maybe with all of this as the backdrop, all of this as the perspective, if we bring this back full circle, the name of the show is The Meaningful Way. And I'm curious, Shawn, for you, that at this point in your life and career, what is it that you would consider your meaningful way?
I want to empower 1 million people to lead a more positive, passionate, and purposeful existence. That's what I want to do. So what has meaning for me is to know that I might have planted a seed or watered a seed that helps someone believe a little bit more in who they are and what they can do.
Well, Shawn, I certainly think you have, and I very much appreciate you coming on The Meaningful Way and sharing your experience, your wisdom, and all of your insights with us today.
Luke, you create a great day, and even more, create a great life.
Thank you, Shawn. And for every listening, I want you guys to check out Shawn Anderson, check out extramileamerica.org, which explains everything that's going on with this extraordinary effort and movement that you've heard Shawn talk about. And I guess just as we leave today, a few things to think about. Think about what's possible. Expand that vision. You know that's one of the things I love reflecting on is what's possible. Well, you get there by considering the what if. What if this? What if that? What are the new? What if I did this for my wife? What if I did this for myself? What if I got up just that little bit earlier? Think about what those what ifs might be and align it to what that extra mile looks like to you and how that extra mile takes you to the upgraded version, the 2.0, the 3.0 that you're working on evolving yourself into right now. Thanks again for dropping in on The Meaningful Way, and until next time, continue to enjoy the journey. Thanks for tuning in to The Meaningful Way. If you enjoyed this episode, do me a favor and please subscribe and follow along with all these great guests, their stories and interviews. Also, it helps us a lot if you not only share some of your favorite episodes online, but also provide us feedback. Go into iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever your favorite podcast app happens to be, and rate the show. Provide us some feedback and let us know how it is that we're doing. If you want to learn more about what we're up to, whether it be with the iPet Coach Training School, the Live, Lead, Play Network, or even just what's evolving with The Meaningful Way, go on and head on over to lukeiorio.com.